Greetings, brothers and sisters from the four corners of the world. I hope everyone is having a blessed morning, afternoon, evening in your respective lands. Well, brothers and sisters, as you know, it is the new year. It is the Most High's official new year, not January, not, middle of summer, not September. It is official new year. And boy, did the world start off with a bang, right? Uh, Depending on where you were, some woke up to bombs and um, invasion sirens, and some woke up to news. Some woke up to news early in the morning, 12 o'clock, 3 a.m. But anyhow, it's been on me for a while to begin a lesson like this. And I remember the Most High said, and I've always asked the Most High, like, how should I do this, right? How do you want me to deliver these messages, right? And he gave me a set of instructions a while back after I'm praying and fasting. And I'm like, at first I was like, Most High, I really want to do this lesson, like, immediately. Right? It's like patience. You'll understand. And then understanding, like, wanted me to do this at this very moment because this lesson was planned for this very moment of this New Year's with us not even knowing what he knows, which he's the creator, so he knows all things, right? He knew there was going to be break out the war and with or the bombings of Iran, and then Iran striking Bahrain, the UAE, um, Kuwait, parts of Iraq, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia as well, right? Only he knew these things. But, brothers and sisters, I now understand just perfectly and like how meticulous the Most High is when it comes to when we're operating with Him and when we wait. He does things perfectly. I mean, we couldn't even, even if we understand the definition of perfect, we still wouldn't understand His perfection. So, with that being said, brothers and sisters, we are beginning a new series, and this series is meant to be very detailed. Okay. Um, it's meant to be detailed. Who is this for? This is for, people who may call themselves being in the truth. This is for those who may call themselves Christians. This is for those who may call themselves Muslims. This is for those who are just in question about all the things that's happening and how to operate as we move forward. Okay. So this is called Marathon. And it was really interesting, right? Because I tried my hardest to like think of and get a different picture and try and get it like scary in some ways. And I said, well, so I want something that's going to capture people's minds. And he said, no, if it doesn't capture their minds, hey, they didn't already missed it. So slight introduction. No, I didn't type it in this time. As we already know, we are taught to run the race. As the world progresses through peculiar and perilous times, many are more than aware of the diverse evils that the world is introduced to weekly. But the reality is that people are forgetting about the race to the finish line. And I want you to think about that real quick. People are forgetting. Though we see all these evils, so many people fail to realize the severity of not being able to understand and process those things and still run the race that we're all called to run. Because it almost seems like when people get truth, whether you're uh, Christians, whether you're in Muslims, whatever you may call yourself, it's almost as if people get the word of what and the reality of what's happening, and then they go back to their jobs, they go back to their everyday situations until they hear it again or until they see it again. Well, that's a problem. That's a problem. Now, it's amazing to understand the truth, but it's also so crucial to understand how to apply it. With that being said, we will explore the elements of the physical and spiritual marathon like you've never seen or heard before. Now, a little bit about myself. I run marathons. I've run every form of run. I'm not doing no ultra. I don't see a need to run 60, 50, 60, 90, 100 miles. Okay. I mean, those are pretty interesting features, but I don't see the need to do that. Um, but I have run marathons, um, half marathons, 10Ks, um, 5Ks, you name it, right? So not only am I a minister, a teacher, but I also run these things as well. Not only am I a minister, but I am a personal trainer. I am certified, that is. Um, I am a certified enduring endurance running coach. I am a certified nutrition coach and a level 1 and 2 running gait analyst. So I help people get back their ability to run and know the difference between their body and what type of running they are strong in. So what that means is there's about 5 different aspects of running, and we'll go over that into another series because yes, I will go over that in a physical and spiritual way, but also from how people wear shoes and different things like that. But that just helps people understand, okay, are you raising your ankle too high? Are you pointing your feet flexion, dorsiflex, like this, right? Is your knee out of line? Is your hip sinking to one side or the other? Um, is your back and your hips kind of sinking? Are you leaning forward? Are you overstriding? Things like this. And I realized after becoming certified for these things a while back that the Most High was wanting me to do this lesson after He gave me all this information. because now I'm going to do something very different. We're going to put all of these things and break it down through the spiritual and physical aspects of what we are all required to do. So, no, we're not going to just go through, oh, well, that's just a race and we got to run to the finish line. We're going to break this down. Okay. Um, and so this is going to be, I'm really excited for this. This is going to be really fun. Okay. Once again, this series is meant to be long. All right. This series is meant to be thoughtful. This series is meant to be thought provoking, um, and, and meticulous to a point where I want you to understand the things that's occurring, okay, within yourself, just within yourself. And we'll be able to even go and based on other people as well. Now, I want to share something, and I'll be sharing it along the way, but it's it's definitely gonna be interesting. Okay, now, and I'm going to pull up notes. We're gonna go through this. All right. So let's begin. First, I want to start with this term marathon. Okay. Now you can see it says here a long distance foot race, 26 miles. And I think it's in um in um in kilometers. That's about 42 kilometers, right? A little bit over, because it's usually a little bit over than 26 miles. So our initial marathon is just a long distance, long distance event. And we'll just put running event for this sake. About 26 miles. Gonna run you about 42, I want to say point 0.2 kilometers, right? One moment, please. Thank you, brothers and sisters, for that slight pause there. All right. So, basic info, right? The marathon. Now, let's get into just a few scriptures here, right? So, we're going to start with Ecclesiastes. And I have a little surprise to share as well for this series. It's going to be pretty cool. I'm really excited to share this as well. All right. So, starting from the right side, this is Ecclesiastes 9:10 through 12. And it reads, whatever work you purpose to do, do it while you can, for there is neither achievement nor planning, nor knowledge nor wisdom in Sheol, where you are going. And Sheol is just that waiting area as to where the souls wait. There's two sides. One side is good, one side is bad. Good side is the bosom of Abraham. The other side has layers of evil and so forth and so forth. But on the left, it reads, "Whatsoever thy hand findeth to do, do it with thy might. For there is no work, nor device, nor knowledge, nor wisdom in the grave whither thou goest." I returned, and I saw under the sun that the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, neither yet bread to the wise, nor yet riches to the to men of understanding, nor yet favor to men of skill, but time and chance happeneth to them all. For man also knoweth not his time, as the fishes that are taken in the evil net, and as the birds that are caught in the snare, so are the sons of men snared in an evil time when it falleth suddenly upon them. And on the right, I see this too under the sun. The race does not go to the swift, nor the battle to the strong. There is no bread for the wise, wealth for the intelligent, nor favor for the learned. All are subject to time and mischance. Man does not know his hour, like fish caught in a treacherous net, like birds taken in the snare, so is man overtaken by misfortune, suddenly falling on him. Now, we understand that we are supposed to be running a marathon, a race. And it's very interesting when we look at it this way. The race is not for the swift. And I'm going to speak on my most recent marathon, right? So I go, and me, I don't start in the front. I start like in the back, right? I start in the back because everyone's full of adrenaline in the front, right? Those are for like the elite. I'm not saying I'm elite, but I give it my best, right? And I enjoy it. I enjoy running distance, right? So I'm not going to be in the front. And, sometimes I'll be in the middle, but I more so as I'm getting older, I like to be in the end. And you may say, why would I like to be in the end? I don't finish last, but I would like to be at the end. Why is that? Because the front is okay. These are people who this is their bread and butter. This is a train for this like no other. And then the middle people, these are people who are, kind of confident, kind of excited. And then they got that extra adrenaline. And part of that group is people who are believing that they can do this. And then the back is like some of the people who are like, I don't know if I really can do this. And some of them are just like uneasy. They're confident, they may be excited, but they're uneasy. And for me, because this is not my first rodeo, and I've been running for over a decade, thank you, Most High. Um, it it just seems like for me, that's the better place because when people will see me, I start from behind, and then like, okay, I understand my pace, okay, and my cadence, and understanding your heart rate and so forth, and your breathing technique. But normally, in that very beginning, you see people give all they've got, right? I kid you not, I saw this in my last marathon where I start and I'm like, just feeling good. By the time I get to 7 miles, I'm feeling really good, you know. By the time I get to, 9, I'm like, okay, we gotta start to understand. We can crank it up a little bit. And then I'm starting to see all the people that were in front of me in that middle portion, they're falling back behind. And some people didn't even make it past mile 11. Okay. Why is that? Because the race is not for the swift. Okay. Now, let's go with this word swift. Excuse me. Swift, moving quickly. Done, and we'll just put moving quickly, done at a high speed. Done at a high speed. And let's do this, right? Space there. Done at a high speed. So already in the Holy Scriptures is telling us if you are wanting to even entertain this race, this is not a race about how fast you can go. And in a world of vanity, in a world of accolades and likes, people wanting attention to be seen, the problem is everyone wants to be fast. I just saw the other day uh, a person on social media, and they're a fitness, I guess, influencer, and they were saying, if you want to run a marathon, stop running slow. You got to run fast. And as a certified endurance running coach, I'm laughing, but it's so easy to influence people because people want to go off of what? They want to go off of what they see, what they hear, what they think looks good. Okay. And we're going to talk about that as well. Not necessarily so much in this part, but we're going to talk about that in the second part. Now, but I guess I can just mention it, right? So let's go with the word vanity first. What is vanity? Vanity is something that's worthless, self conceit, okay? Emptiness, aimlessness, vain glory. You see it, right? I just want you to see it. Vain glory. Now, worthless glory, meaningless honor, undue pomp or show. That's vain glory. Now, pomp, ostentation and display, especially a parade, magnificence. Now, solemn precision display. And that's what people like to see, right? They like to see a worldly display. Okay. Now, in a marathon, you can't have vainglory, or you will get shut down quickly because there's always someone who just may be faster than you, who just may be better than you, who just may have trained longer than you, harder than you, and or smarter than you. What you see, brothers and sisters, online what you see from these fitness influencers is aesthetics. Okay, that's what you see. Okay, you see the aesthetic, and you're like, huh? Now, here you can see aesthetic just means perception by the senses, perceptive, right? To perceive. But when you go down, it says art for art's sake. And then when you go down, it was back then called sensual perception, characterized by appreciation of the beauty. So you're not looking at, mind you now this goes for men and women. Men want the mean muscles and they want the six pack and they want this, and the women want a size 2 waist and they want to get in the. These are aesthetics. Okay. Bodybuilding, you can look this up, or what's the other word for it? Bodybuilding and physique training is aesthetics. Okay. It's to enhance overall beauty. Now, I'm gonna have to pull out Google for this one. Okay, I'll show y'all some of these definitions. Now, you see aesthetic here, appreciation of beauty, beautiful. On Google, it says concern with beauty or the appreciation of beauty, a set of principles underlining and guiding the work of particular artist or artistic movement. Okay, now I'm sharing with y'all perceptible things, perceive, not, okay, not to be confused with aesthetic, ascetic, okay, and we're going to get into that real quick. So, first, aesthetic, we don't want nothing to do with it. Concerned with beauty, I'm gonna put appreciation of beauty and or um, perception of beauty. Now, right there, that's like maybe 80% of the women worldwide, all aesthetic. Have you ever, sisters, if you ever had said, "Oh, I want to get into the gym to fit in, to drop a waist size from 5 to 2, because you may have seen it somewhere else, or you believe that's what beauty is." That's vainglory. Now, what's the difference between that and in righteousness? In righteousness, it's called ascetic. You ready? And we're going to talk about this in the next portion of this series in depth. But in righteousness, it's called ascetic, not aesthetic. An ascetic is to practice rigorous self-denial as religious exercise. So, for example, you're not looking to get a size 2 for the Most High. That has to do with you, you see. The females, a lot of females in the gym, they're not doing the squats, and they're not doing um, the Most High, forgive me, I can't even remember the name of that exercise. They're not doing the hip thrusters, right? And the glute exercises for religious exercise. That's all aesthetics, and it's all vainglory. So when the Most High goes and judges people as to, so really, why were you exercising? Was it ascetic or was it aesthetic? Ascetic is for religious exercise. Aesthetic is for vainglory. The world, and if you can't recognize this right now, Satan will give you the truth and twist it. And of course, it comes to a lie, right? But the original comes from the Most High, of course. So the Most High, ascetic, Satan, aesthetic. We're not training. We're not exercising to be beautiful. Okay. There is a purpose behind this. You see? So let's go into it. Ascetic, rigorous, self-denial as religious exercise. Now, see, this is totally different now. This is not working off, for to get in that dress that you always wanted. This is not going to get back in the clothes that you used to fit 20 years ago. This now exclusively has to do with the Most High, because now there's religion involved. It says, rigorously self-disciplined, laborious, a monk or hermit. And you may not have heard these terms, but I'll go over them in a bit. Skilled worker, one who practices an art or trade, especially what? An athlete, one in training for the arena, to exercise, train, to train for athletic competition. Now, trying to get down to a size 2 has nothing to do with the Most High. A man trying to get a 6-pack has nothing to do with the Most High. And notice, if you go all the way down, it says sense of unduly strict or austere. And we understand that the Bible called Christ an austere man. Remember that? For I feared because thou art an austere man. That means Christ was religiously devoted, religiously disciplined. Christ was ascetic. He was ascetically trained, not for the world. So, fun fact, we'll just put rigorous self-discipline for training for training okay, and we'll put for athletic training there. For athletic training. So now, wait, something's different here. Something didn't change here. So now I see something is different. According to these scriptures, if the race is not for the swift, those people who want to be first and fast, that's aesthetics. There's accolades to that, okay, in this worldly life, right? But the righteous seek to be ascetic. Now, I know that probably took you took you to another world there because you're like, whoa, a lot of people had no clue that the two were different. And a lot of people didn't know. And if you think about it, right, a lot of people didn't know, like, oh, I had no idea. You really don't think, oh, me getting back into a size three, you know, that really has nothing to do with the Most High. So Satan hijacked what you were supposed to be doing. And what a lot of females will say, well, I don't want to get bulky, or I don't want to do this, or that's always been the misconception with a lot of women around the world and the Most High. That's what Satan put in your mind. Satan put in, oh, you're going to get big and bulky, but you rather talk about a size two. Makes absolutely no sense, right? The Most High wants you to be strong and able to defend yourself, but you're not worried about defending yourself. You're worried about getting down a few pant sizes. Doesn't make any sense. Anywho, hopefully you're still here and I didn't ruffle, any feathers. Anywho, so the race is not to the swift. It's not. The battle is not to the strong, showing you that our mental perception, especially when it's worldly, is wrong because we think the strongest and the biggest and baddest is going to win a battle. We think the fastest person may win the race. You think the most richest people have understanding. That's what they have TED Talks for. That's what they have all those forums for. And people see get favor to men of skill. And that means everyone knows someone who's been at a job, and you're like, why is this person even in that position? How did you get that job? Because you can name five other low level workers who know more than them and who work harder than that person, showing you that the Most High's word is always true. But it says, time and chance happeneth to them all. So little do you realize when we apply this to the race, running a marathon, time and chance. Time and chance. Now, what happens when it's your time to run? I want you to think about that now. What happens when it's your time to run a marathon? Time and chance happen to everyone. So doesn't mean you're always going to be in the marathon. Doesn't mean you're always going to be bursting up a hill, right? It doesn't mean that. But when the time comes, the true question is, will you be ready? Next scripture, New Testament. We're rolling through. This is Philippians chapter 2, verse 13 through 16. I'll read it on the right, or excuse me, the left. For it is God which worketh in you both to will and to do of his good pleasure. Do all things without murmurings and disputings, that ye may be blameless and harmless, the sons of God without rebuke, in the midst of a crooked and perverse nation among you, whom ye shine as lights in the world, holding forth the word of life, that I may rejoice in the day of Christ, that I have not run in vain, neither labored in vain. Now, let's read to the right. It is God, for his own loving purpose, who puts both the will and the action into you. Do all that has to be done without complaining and arguing, and then you will be innocent and genuine, perfect children of God, among a deceitful and underhand brood. And you will shine in the world like bright stars, because you are offering it the word of life. This would give me something to be proud of for the day of Christ, and would mean that I had not run in the race and exhausted myself for nothing. Now, if the run is not for the swift, that means you don't blow out your energy. However, now there's some really important things here that I think people kind of bypass, and it's kind of sad. Okay. So, first thing was told to us is it is God, for his own loving purpose, who puts the will and action into you. So that means he puts the desire, and he wants you to go and do the action. Therefore, when you are called to finally run the race, he tells you to do it without complaining or arguing. If you take the first 100 people you see and you ask them, hey, you want to run a marathon with me? Most people are going to call you crazy. They're going to say, I don't have time. They're going to say, that's a waste of time. I don't want to run. They're going to make up all kinds of things. Now, you see, all this contributes to running the race. You are not to complain while putting in the miles. Now, if you find yourself exercising and complaining about putting in the miles, you understand that the Most High is not very pleased with this behavior, because he does not call you to do this while complaining. He calls you because you cannot be a bright star, okay, for him in a world of darkness and complain. Either you are going to go and get it for the Most High, or you're going to look ugly doing it. That's just the bottom line. Now, so when we're going to run this marathon, this race of life, we do it without complaining. We do it without arguing. Don't say, oh, don't soak your head. Don't say, I'm tired. And of course, we're tired. Okay. Now, complain. lament, bewail, grieve, find fault, express dissatisfaction, criticize, make a formal accusation or charge to an authority, lament, to beat the brass. I don't want to do it. Expression of suffering. You know, it's really interesting. I saw this quote, right? And it was a crazy quote. I had never heard it before. But it was a doctor on social media, and I guess he's like an alternative doctor. And he said, when everyone is healthy, they have 1,000 problems, but when you're sick, you only have one. I want you to think about what was just said there. When everyone is healthy, they have 1,000 problems, but when you're sick, the only problem that matters is one. You only have one problem. So you should never complain. Complaining can be used for anything because not only you'll see later on in the series that exercising is clarity towards the mind, but it also brings the body in submission to the will of the Most High, and it shakes out those demons that are in people, those evil spirits. You think spirits like hard work? Absolutely not. Think about it. In a world that we live in right now, and let me speak to my European brothers and sisters and to our American brothers and sisters, right? In the world that you're living in right now, where you put more hours in a day for a job than you do yourself, which one do you think Satan likes more? Do you think he likes that you are exercising for yourself and your well being? Or do you think that Satan likes it more that you put more time and effort into the world and worldly jobs than you do yourself? Well, he likes it that you spend more time with the world. So what happens is what? Now, all of a sudden, you done made up your mind to say, all right, Most High, I'm going to do this for you. Then you don't want to get out of bed. Then you have a bad night of sleep. Then you find all these 101 things to complain about. Even your body start tricking you. And yes, I've even done trainings, right, for runs, right? 20-week plans, 16-week plans, right? 10-week plans. And there'll be days where I get out the bed and I'm like almost high. My ankle hurts or my knee hurts. And I'm like, this doesn't feel right. I caught on really easily. Praise the Most High. I had to pray about it. And then I just go run, right? Even with the ankle pain or the knee pain. And I understand that some of those pains are Satan trying to psych me out so I don't go exercise. Okay. And now I'm not saying everyone's pain is illegitimate. That's not what I'm saying. You're gonna have to understand your body. A little bit of history of myself. I've broken my leg before as a child. I I think I broke my ankle. Yeah, I broke my ankle. Yes, I did playing basketball. Um, I broke my leg before. I had a knee surgery years ago. That was in 27. No, excuse me, 2027. Yeah, 2007, going into 2008. I had the knee surgery, almost on my MCL, ACL, and PCL, right? And the ligaments of my knee. And I've been running. After that, I was running since 2009, and I've been running distance since 2010. Okay. And here we are, praise the Most High 2026. That gives you what, 17, 18, I think since 2009, 17 years. If we give or take just 2010, it was about 16 years. So, right? So I've been running for this long, even with these. And to tell you how I got that injury, I played football in high school, and and yeah, that injury was excruciating. But you see, when the doctors told me that you won't be able to play sports, you won't be able to do this and do that, I didn't believe them. I hear what you're saying. I know what you're saying, but I know that the Most High is better than you. And if you are not serving the Most High, I'm darn well not going to be listening to half of what you have to say, even 75%. And that was in 2007, 2008, right? So for me, and this is why I also like, and I'm not advertising, I'm just sharing about myself, but like, this is why also like I only train a certain people because I don't believe in excuses. I believe in, hey, you're a personal trainer. Can you help me? Can you help me get to where I want to be, where I know I can be? Not, oh, well, I had this, and well, because I did that, I'm not going to do it anymore. Well, that I don't know that behavior. I know get the injury, heal, work to where you want to be. Not, oh, well, I had the injury and they said, and I had this surgery and they said I couldn't do it. And so, I just want to do the bare minimum. I, I've never liked that. I don't do it for myself. I don't want to be around those people either. No offense to anyone, but those people ain't going to the kingdom. Those people who want to do bare minimum. Okay. Just like the Holy Word says, we don't complain. And when it comes to you, when the Most High places it to you, you give it all you got. Now you ask yourself a question. Some may be upset at what I'm saying. How come it is that you will give all you got for your work, for your deadlines, for your quotas, for your memos, for everything your supervisor says, but you won't give all you got for yourself? And giving all you got for yourself is giving all you got for the Most High, because the Most High, before He's going to tell you to take care of anyone else, He's going to tell you to take care of yourself. How are you going to help someone run a marathon and you won't even run it? You see? Come on, brothers and sisters. Come on. You owe it to yourself. We are in a stretch. I want you to think about this. The Most High shared with me, he said, son, I want you to make this marathon series on the new year. You understand what that means? This is a year where it's gonna be, we're entering an age, we're in an age, I should say already, where it's a stretch. Don't burn yourself out now, but understand pace. Understand the distance. Understand what it takes to go the distance. Because some people, and I'm gonna put out Christians there. If I followed the doctrine of Christianity, I would be exhausted. I'm gonna let you know. And you may say, why? Because every few years there's a rapture. Every few years, the end of the world. These people don't listen to scripture at all, I would be mentally, spiritually, physically, and emotionally exhausted because you're telling me to get ready for something and it ain't happening. This is the marathon. This is a part of the marathon. Now, when you're driving on a road, right? Or you're taking a bus on a road, you can't see necessarily the level of the road at all. You can't see the incline. But let you get out of that car, that truck, that bus, that train, and start walking, start jogging. You're going to see the incline immediately. And guess what? All runners know you don't even need to really see the incline. All runners know they can feel the incline adjust with their calves. That's why you have to have strong calves. Because the minute you start inclining on a run is the minute your calves start burning. And you're like, okay, my body knows. So you have to train those calves. Hey, just saying. A lot of people training their legs, but they don't train their feet, their ankles, the mobility. They don't train the calves, which goes into the knee, which goes into the quads and the hamstrings. Yeah, they're just training the glutes and the hamstring, and maybe a little, quads from squats or whatever, but not necessarily training what's holding it all up. It's your ankles and your calves, right? Anywho, but all runners know this. If I don't train my calves, I'm gonna feel. And guess what? What's in the front of your calves? The shins. And what do people complain about on runs? Oh, I got these shins split. Oh, that's the first thing. So a lot of people are complaining about. Those are like runners, like basic runners, and kind of like what I mean is like people who are beginning running and who are starting to get into the groove. And for those who are experiencing, and the last marathon I ran, I was running, and there was one gentleman. He was in his 20s, right? And there was one gentleman, and he was like, "Oh, you're running a little slow." And he said, "What's wrong with you?" He said, "My knee is hurting, my hip flexor is hurting." This is what he told me. He said, "My knee is hurting, my hip flexor hurting, my calves hurting, everything hurting on me." And he asked me, "What's hurting?" And I said, "No, no, just my foot hurts. That's it. Just my feet." And other than that, I said, "I'm good to go. I'm really happy. I enjoyed this run." And he's looking at me like, huh? And I asked him, "Did he train?" And he says, "No, I just winged it. I want to." And that's also, I wanted to mention that. That's also a part of the aesthetics. People going out there just because you see someone else. And this is Gen Z I'm running with, right? And these are Gen Z. A lot of these influencers are Gen Z who are saying like they're kind of promoting this about getting people to go out there. And I get it, to exercise, but the concept and the motive, like, don't train, just go out there. What? Now, you see, the Bible even tells you, huh? It would mean had I not run in the race and exhausted myself for nothing. So why even step in the race if you are not training for it? Because all you're going to do is hurt yourself and exhaust yourself. This is but brothers and sisters, I'm not gonna. If someone has never ran a 10K is a 6 mile run, right? If someone has never ran a 10K, I'm not going to say, let's go out and run a 10K. But I do know that if you want to do better, that threshold has to begin to elevate at some point. Okay. And that's a part of periodization and different types of training cycles. But if you are used to running 1 mile or walking 1 mile, you need to probably run 150, 1.50, 1.75 to get to 2. Or you can go from 150 to 2. And then from 2, you would go to 3. And if you can do 3, you could do 4. And if you could do 4, you could do 5. And if you could do 6, you could do 8. And if you could do 8, you could do 9. And if you could do 9, you could do 10. And if you can do 10, you could do 12. And if you could do 12, you could do 13. Now I'm going to stop there at the half marathon, right? But what I'm saying is you should always go a little bit over what you're training for. So if I'm training for a 1 mile, right? I'm going to start with just getting to the 1 mile. And when I get to the 1 mile, I'm not going to be like, yes, this is my 1 mile. No, because if you just train for 1 mile, guess what? You're going to push and exhaust yourself just for 1 mile, which means someone's going to train to not be exhausted by the finish line, but you're training to be exhausted because you won't go any further, you see? So you have to push yourself and build that threshold, which I will be talking about in another part of the series, right? Just giving y'all a little tidbits there. But keep this in mind, brothers and sisters. This would be, this would give me something to be proud of for the day of Christ and would mean that I had not run the race and exhausted myself for nothing. How many of y'all feel exhausted? How many people feel burned out? You know, some people feel burned out from their job. That's also a marathon too. That's a more of a physical work marathon. Imagine you working and working and working and reaching that finish line every month and exhausted for nothing. You see, the beautiful thing is, right, with the Most High, we don't run for no reason. I want you to ask yourself that when you go into work. Are you running for no reason? If you're running for a paycheck, man, you'd have missed the whole thing. What is the purpose of you running at that job? What is the purpose? The same concept goes for running for the Most High, running for the job, running to shine your light in the world, right? What are you running for? What is the purpose you are running? Don't be exhausted for nothing. Be exhausted because you earned something. Because you did something. Because you shined in the world bright. That's what you should be exhausted for. Putting everything you got to shine in a world of darkness. All right. First Corinthians. And I apologize for my mouse going a little slow there. Now I'm going to read from the left. First Corinthians 9:24-27 reads, Know ye not that they which run in a race run all, but one receiveth the prize, so run that ye may obtain. And every man that striveth for the mastery is temperate in all things. Now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown, but we an incorruptible. I therefore so run, not as uncertainly, so fight I not as one that beateth the air. But I keep under my body, and bring it into subjection, lest that by any means, when I have preached to others, I myself should be cast away. Now, watch, hold on to your peanuts here, okay? Here we go. All the runners on the right at the stadium are trying to win, but only one of them gets the prize. You must run in the same way, meaning to win. All the fighters at the games go into strict training. They do this just to win a wreath that will wither away. But we do it for a wreath that will never wither. This is how I run, intent on winning. This is how I fight, not beating the air. I treat my body hard. I treat my body hard and make it obey me. For I have been an announcer myself. For having been an announcer myself, I should not want to be disqualified. I should not want to be disqualified. And some people are living life with not even caring about being disqualified. Well, I'm gonna put it like this. Everyone knows you got to pay for a marathon. You got to pay for races, right? Unless you're invited, right? I had to pay for my last marathon, of course. I'm telling my family, I'm just hoping to do my best. I don't want to disappoint the Most High. I didn't even care about coming in first place or anything like that. I just said I don't want to be disqualified. I didn't want to get to the mark where they say, You can't run no more. We gotta pick you up in the little paddy wagon, the little ambulance truck, and say, well, DQ, disqualified. Now there is so much gold in this scripture. I hope you copy and paste it. I hope you screenshot it. I hope you do whatever you gotta do. But on the right makes me feel like, all right, thank you for that brief pause there. So yes, I want you to look at this, right? And I feel like this was so powerful reading it on the right. I said, wow, all the runners, all the runners at the stadium are trying to win, but only one of them gets the prize. You must run in the same way, meaning to win. Now, here's the thing, right? It says it says here all fighters at the games go into strict training. They do this just to win a wreath that will wither away, but we do it for a wreath that will never wither. Now, you see, if you go out and run a marathon, if you go out there and run a half marathon, if you go out there and run a 10K or 5K, which is 3 miles, right? Your objective is to win something. You may ask, well, if there's people in better shape than me, if there's more seasoned runners and athletes than me, then how do I come in first place? Brothers and sisters, don't let Satan fool you. There could be 100 people running a race, and everyone is not getting the same prize, yet everyone will get a participating medal. Because of that group, there's going to be a portion who's running for what? Aesthetics. There's going to be a portion of that group, and a very small portion of that group is going to be running for aesthetics, meaning that religious discipline for the Most High. You know, I went out into my marathon and I said, Most High, as soon as I crossed that line for the starting, I said, in the name of the Most High, let's do this. I said, Most High, I hope I make you proud. I'm not running to become in first place. I'm not running to get, someone to give me a TV deal or something like that. I'm running because I understand the time. I'm running because I understand that this particular event you correlate in our holy word, and that my belief, my belief, okay, if you placed it in our word, I believe that all believers should experience it once. Oh, I know. Some people are looking at me like I'm crazy because there are certain things that you won't understand until you experience it. Even the Bible says this. Everyone should be able to do this at least once. Now, if the sinners of the world, I seen at the race, people are in their gear and they're feeling themselves. It's all about nowadays, right? Gen Z has turned running into Gen Z has turned running into kind of like a show. Like they have posters, hot girls run, you know, half marathons, and I'm just like, what? When I was running a few years ago in a different city, I never saw this. The mindset of people are becoming aesthetic. Oh, it looks good. Oh, it looks good. I want to be a part of the 1% club because, and you guys understand, right? That 1% club that they're referring to, right? Here it goes. So a lot of people now are saying it reads here that 1% club, it is estimated that less than 1% of the world population has completed a marathon in their lifetime. Between 10 to 13 million unique individuals completed a marathon between 2000 to 2022. According to global estimates, roughly 1.1 to 1.3 million people finish a marathon worldwide each year. About 0.13 to 0.16 of the global population runs a marathon in a given year. That's just one. Despite the rising popularity of running, the lifetime cumulative total remains well under 1% of total human population. Hmm. While millions participate, many runners complete multiple events, meaning the number of unique finishers is lower than the total number of race results. Hmm. So when I got out there, I said, Most High, we ain't playing no games. I didn't sign up in this race for nothing. I'm not being DQ'd as disqualified. I'm not being DQ'd. We're going to finish this race for the Most High. And it wasn't even for this point, it was for the Most High saying, Don't you go and step to something that I brought you to, being overly confident just to give all you got and become disqualified. We don't do that here. If you put this in the same concept with what Christ said, many are called, few are chosen. You understand how many people are called to run this race? Some people gonna, as soon as they hear that gun go off, pow, they're gonna take off like a lightning bolt. And some may come in first place, second, third, fourth, fifth, 100th place, you know. Some may be the best runners and still lose. Because remember, it's not to the swift, it's for why you do it. And also, now you can see the Most High says we are to go into strict training. Think about this. Christ said, He who endures. How do you endure without strict training? You don't. So there's a lot of people, over righteous people, overconfident people, who think they're going to step up to this marathon of prophecy. Yes, because that's what we're going through this year, right? Right. We're beginning, right? It's a marathon of prophecy. It's a long stretch. It's a long stretch. And let me tell you something, okay? I kid you not. So I'm going to read this one more time. And all the runners at the stadium are trying to win, but only one of them gets the prize. You must run in the same way, meaning to win. All the fighters at the games go into strict training. They do this just to win a wreath that will wither away. But we do it for a wreath that will never wither. This is how I run intent. This is how I run, intent on winning. This is how I fight, not beating the air. I treat my body hard and make it obey me. For having been an announcer myself, I should not want to be disqualified. Now, remember we read about being exhausted, right? I you know, and I'm not, and I in no way, shape, or form if is this like trying to compare, but this is trying to give you an understanding through a physical and spiritual lens of people trained and people not trained. So when they shot the gun off in the beginning of my most recent marathon, right? They shot the gun off. I'm just kind of trotting it, just like they used to call me a gazelle, like and just like trot. Okay, and I get through the first mile, we feeling good. At the second mile, they have water for people, tables. At the third and fourth mile, they have water and tables for people. And I'm like, and I'm the first, and they have like a little arc there, and I'm like in that group that I was with at the back because I'm pacing and I'm trotting, right? I was a little bit ahead of them at that point, and they're like the people going through that arch to run. They're like, "Oh, here's water," and I'm like, "No, no." I'm shaking my hand and my head, like, "No, I'm grooving, baby." Like, water, water in the first hour. Are have we lost our mind? That's me, right? Mind you, I've been training for 23 weeks. So I'm like, I look back and I see people stop for the water. I kid you not. The very people I saw stop for water didn't even finish the race. You gotta understand when stopping can be your worst enemy. No, 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 I want you to think about that. Sometimes stopping can be your worst enemy. You know, I had water, a little pint-sized bottle of water in my hand, smaller than that, but a little fluid ounces of water, maybe four, and I was running with it, and I didn't take it until mile 7. I think it was mile 6, mile 7, right? And after that, I'm like, okay, I'm getting in the groove, baby. We going. From my mile 7, or my mile 6, it began at 6. The incline starts to go up and up and up and up. So I'm like, okay, I trained for this now. I knew this part. All right, take your time, just breathe. I'm going, I'm going, I'm going. I'm seeing water every 3 miles, every 2, 3 miles, right? and the tables and people are stopping, they getting water, and I'm just like, no, no. Once again, I realize that, nah, man, we didn't train for all this because your legs gonna give out on you if you keep stopping and going. That's something I'll talk about in the next portion of the series. But if you keep stopping and going, eventually your muscles gonna lock up and they're gonna be like access denied. Your legs, remember years ago, I think, Most High forgive me, I'm gonna say, remember that song? It was decades ago from Akon, right? Locked up. Your legs are gonna be like locked up. They won't let you run. You're not gonna be running nowhere. They're just gonna be click, 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 transforming, locked down. And you're gonna start to feel that burn even more. Don't do it. And let me tell you, I didn't get the water from the marathon volunteers until I want to say it was mile 12. Until mile 12, I was like, all right, this is it. We halfway. We already halfway. Let's go get it. Once again, I look back and I see a flux of people falling out. I'm like, whoa. You wouldn't believe what the mind would do and what the body would do over water. Taking or hydrating, I should say, at the wrong time will shut your body up down. And I witnessed it, and I was like, man, oh man. I'm sitting there thinking, man, these people are going to be beating the air most high because, huh, huh, you signed up for this race. But then I realized talking to people, they didn't train. This is a generation now, and it's not necessarily just Gen Z, but I believe that Gen Z is leading this charge, but millennials are following them too, and some Gen X. These people are going out there with no training, and this is direct correlation to the scriptures. Crazy accurate. How people are going out into a battle. People are going out into a run that you are supposed to have strict training for and just winging it as if it's just $100 or $80 for a marathon like it's nothing. Once again, brothers and sisters, don't be those individuals. Don't be those individuals. Now, I'm going to share with you everyone who lines up is going to get a participation medal as long as they finish in a certain time. For a marathon, that is. But everyone is not running for the same reason. Some people running to get sponsored. Some people running because their friends are running, their family are running. Some people running because someone bet them and said, I bet you couldn't do it. Some people run for a day off of work. Yep, it happens. It happens. It happens. Okay. Everyone's motive is not the same. But the question is, what is your motive? My motive is most high. Yeah, I understand you want me to make this lesson for the people. I'm going to make this series, and you want me to get back out there again and keep going. You want me to give them a fresh experience. A fresh experience. Because I got stories from running. But most I want me to give you the most recent experience. Not to be disqualified, brothers and sisters. Not to be disqualified. Now we see disqualification, disqualify, deprive of necessary disqualifications. Okay. Here we go. Make someone unsuitable for office or activity. Okay. You can see it all here. Deprive of necessary disqualifications. Disqualified, to make unfit, deprive of natural power or qualities, properties necessary for any purpose. Indisposition disqualifies the body for labor and the mind for study. Piety disqualifies a person for no lawful employment. To deprive of legal capacity, power, or right to disable. A conviction of perjury disqualifies. You see, they're giving examples. Brothers and sisters, who wants to be disqualified? Who wants to be disqualified? Who wants to be disqualified? I know I don't. Like, seriously. But the problem is, we're not to look at this as a physical, we're to look at this as a spiritual disqualify. When Christ said, "Depart from me, I never knew you, you worker of iniquity. You haven't done the will of my Father. I never knew you. Depart from me." That's to be disqualified. To do all that running for nothing. To be doing all the works for nothing. Once again, aesthetic works instead of ascetic works. Aesthetic works instead of ascetic works. Brothers and sisters, the time is crucial. I can I can only tell you. The time is crucial. And every second, everything that we work for, everything that we're training for, has a meaning. Think about it. I want you to ask yourself, why do you do what you do? Why do you read scripture? Why do you even listen to this ministry? Why do you even listen to the message? What is your reasoning? Think about it, right? Because let's say we have 1,000 subscribers here. Thank you, Most High. We have 1,000 people who listen. But what happens if 1,000 people are not going to get it? What happens if out of 1,000 people, only 500 people are qualified? What happens if 1,000 people listen, but 1,000 people don't understand? You see? That was the thing that Christ was trying to tell to the people in his message when he says, hey, you've done all these works, but you still didn't do my will. You did it for aesthetics. It looked beautiful on the outside. It looked great on the outside. You were like, yeah, this is sure to get me into the kingdom. But then when it came to hear the standard of the throne, your standards, your aesthetics, and the Most High's aesthetic didn't match. Galatians, Galatians 5. And I'll read on the left and then the right. This is Galatians 5:7. Ye do run well. Who did hinder you that ye should not obey the truth? This persuasion cometh not of him that calleth you. A little leaven leaveneth the whole lump. I have confidence in you through the Lord that ye will be none otherwise minded, but he that troubleth you shall bear his judgment, whosoever he be. And I, brethren, if I yet preach circumcision, why do I yet suffer persecution? Then is the offense of the cross ceased? I would they were even cut off which trouble you. For brethren, ye have been called unto liberty, only use not liberty for an occasion to the flesh, but by love serve one another. For all the laws fulfilled in one word, even in this, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. But if ye bite and devour one another, take heed that ye be not consumed of one of another. This I say then, walk in the Spirit, and ye shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. For the flesh lusteth against the Spirit, and the Spirit against the flesh. And these are contrary the one to the other, so that ye cannot do the things that ye would. But if ye be led of the Spirit, ye are not under the law. For the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness, idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulations, wrath, strife, seditions, heresies, envyings, murders, drunkenness, revilings, and such like, of the which I tell you before, as I have also told you in time past, that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of God. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law. And they that are Christ have crucified the flesh with the affections of the lust. If we live in the Spirit, let us also walk in the Spirit. Let us not be desirous of vainglory, provoking one another, envying one another. Now I'm going to read it, brothers and sisters, on the right. It reads, "You began your race well. Who made you less anxious to obey the truth?" I want you to think about that. Here it's being addressed that many people, when they've come to the truth, they started the race off well. Oh my word. How many of you started the race off really good? And then you became nervous, you became anxious, you got scared. Look, some of you are getting scared right now because of the things that's going on. Look at it. Here at the journey, we've been ministering and prophesying about the Middle East for a while now. And look at it. Look at it. Look at it. Look at what's happening. Look at what's happening. Now, of all the places, right, that I could have went to, the Most High sent me to Oman. I shared this with you. Anyone notice the only two places that haven't been engaged in the Middle East yet? And the situation with Iran, so to speak, is Yemen and Oman. It's very important to follow these scriptures. And I saw someone put out a fake video, and I'm like, I'm not sure if, Oman. I know people here and there, and so, but nothing has happened there. For those with me in person, I already told you that when we are there, that there would be war. You have to understand that prophecy is not going to stop for you or me. So understand, and this is very important, brothers and sisters, as far as the race goes. Some people began a race that led to a dead end. I know that's harsh, isn't it? Some people began a race and thought they were at a starting line just to get to a finish line, but they're running a dead end. But that dead end, you see, Satan's dead end is not short, it is long, and he will drag that dead end for years. So, in the beginning of the race, it's important to tell congregants, people who listen, hey, what's the goal? Why do you listen? Why do you come to a ministry? Why do you pray to look for a ministry? The answer should be to get closer with the Most High. That's one. Two, to do the things that He's called me to do. You, that's right. That's two. And three, to endure until the end. That includes trials, tribulations, strange occurrences happening to you, and prophecy and understanding prophecy as well. But the problem is most people get into this race and don't realize that you can't just manage the love. You can't just win a race with love, because there's going to be, in the marathon, there's going to be hills. Whew. I had rolling hills. Have mercy. Most High, they were so hard. Ooh-wee. And there's nothing worse than a slanted hill. If you know what I'm talking about, where there's just a hill and the incline. I had one of those for 2 miles. And then on top of that hill, there were rolling hills. And I'm like, ooh, Most High. I said that too in the race. I was like, all right, Most High, you told me this was coming. It's game time. We prepared for this. Man, listen. That long stretch hill, and then those rolling hills after, it make you want to fight somebody. It make you rethink, what in the world am I doing? And then you realize it's game time. It's Most High. Come on, get in the game. Don't quit, right? Oh, there's so much mental and emotional encouragement that you need to do for yourself in a marathon like no other. But that's for another lesson. Okay, it's coming up. Some people began this race, brothers and sisters, without understanding, hey, I got to endure hard times. Some people began this race not reading about the course. Now, if you go into a marathon, more than likely they're going to give you the course outline. Okay, what's the elevation gain? The type, is it flat course, if it rolling hills, like this, right? What's the weather going to be like? Is it trail? Is it gravel? Is it flat pavement? Is it, trail with flat pavement? Is it road racing, right? Some people started a race without even knowing the terrain, the environment that they're even running. Think about that. Some people running a race thinking they on a scenic route. What in the world? We not looking for sunrises and sunsets. We not running to see the dolphins. We running for a prize to get into the kingdom. We're running for an eternal prize. Hmm. You began your race well. Who made you less anxious to obey the truth? You were not prompted by him who called you. The yeast seems to be spreading through the whole batch of you. A little leaven it the whole lump. I feel sure that united in the Lord, you will agree with me, and anyone who troubles you in the future will be condemned. no matter who he is. As for me, my brothers, I still preach circumcision. Why am I still persecuted if I do that? Now there will be there be any scandal of the cross, tell those who are disturbing you, I would like to see the knife slip. My brothers, you were called, as you know, to liberty, but be careful, or this liberty will provide an opening for self indulgence. Ooh-wee. You were called for liberty, but this liberty can also, and it will also provide temptations of do as thou wilt. Serve one another rather in works of love, since the whole law is summarized in a single command. Love your neighbor as yourself. If ye go snapping at each other and tearing each other to pieces, you had better watch, or you will destroy the whole community. Let me put it like this: if you are guided by the Spirit, you will no longer, you will be in no danger of yielding to self indulgence, since self indulgence is the opposite of the Spirit. And the Spirit is totally against such a thing, and it is precisely against the two are so opposed that you do not always carry out your good intentions. If you are led by the Spirit, no law can touch you. When self indulgence is at work, the results are obvious. What? Fornication, gross indecency, sexual irresponsibility, idolatry, sorcery, feuds, and wrangling, jealousy, bad temper, and quarrels, disagreements, factions, envy, and factions, groups, cliques, right? Drunkenness, orgies, and similar things. I warn you now, as I warned you before, those who behave like this will not inherit the kingdom of God. What the Spirit brings is very different: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, trustfulness, gentleness, and, and, and self control. There can be no law against things like that, of course. And you cannot belong to Christ unless you crucify all self indulgent passions and desires. Since the Spirit is our life, let us be directed by the Spirit. We must stop being conceited, provocative, and envious. Full stop. Wow. Wow. Right? Wow. Now, I want to go back here, right? And I forgot to include something, but it says, you began your race well, who made you less anxious to obey the truth, right? And that is not necessarily the part that I wanted to touch on, but watch this. You were not prompted by him who called you. The yeast seems to spread through the whole batch of you. Now you can see on the left, a little leaven, leaveneth the whole lump. This persuasion cometh not of him that calleth you. So now stop, 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 stop. I want you to understand the Most High doesn't do persuasion. That's why it says, this persuasion cometh not of him that calleth you, to be anxious or to hinder you from the truth. Now, the Most High is going to urge you to do something or continue to warn you to do something, but He's not doing the persuading thing. It's clear and cut with our Father in heaven. Now, you have to understand, some of you may have started your marathon late, your race late. Why? Because you let people's perception hinder you. This is what it's saying. You let people's perception hinder you. You let what people thought of you hinder your walk. Hey, some of you are still doing it now. Some of you are still doing it now. Some of you big scared. Oh, my family won't understand, or I just want to be around these kind of people and that. Okay, I've heard this so many times where people say, I want to be around like-minded people. Let me explain to you. If you running a race and I'm running a race, we ain't running together. You can train together, you can eat properly together, but let me tell you, you do not run together. I'll tell you my example, right? So on my most recent marathon, okay, I'm seeing people fall out. I'm like, man, Most High, my minister kicking in, my love of Christ and the Most High kicking in. I'm like, should I like help the people that like, passing out? They ain't got no ambulance or nothing, and I'm seeing people who were in front of me fall far behind, and they passing out, people fainting. No, no lie, very true. People cramping in the road, people going to the side and just like, oh, they screaming out in pain and agony. And I'm like, oh man, Most High. I see someone catch up to me and then they start talking. Oh, and I'm like, okay, how you doing? They saying, oh, doing good, I'm doing good, just really sore, and they start talking. They start talking. And then I start going slower because I'm talking. And then they stop, and while we're talking, I stop and start walking. I'm like, I've never had this experience before where I'm talking to people on a race. And I said, oh man, Most High, what just happened? And I asked the Most High. I stopped talking to the person because I didn't know them at all. I stopped talking to the person and I asked Most High, Holy Spirit, what am I to do? And they said, run or you won't finish the race. What? Don't you know I was booking it? I was like, I didn't even say bye. I was like, well, Most High told me to go. Got to go. I understood at that moment Satan was trying to take advantage. And you may say, but being nice to people, how is that taking advantage? Because when we are called to run a race, there is no more running in groups. Now, that race is for you to show what you are made of. All that learning, all that training, all that dieting, that proper nutrition, it is now time to show what you are made of. Brothers and sisters, you don't run marathons together. Remember, and it makes it very clear in scripture You cannot get into the kingdom off of someone else's good works. Now, you may say, how is running off of someone's good work? Do you know how easy it is to run off of a pacer? That's what a person is who has, the good wind to run, okay? And they are there just running at a certain speed so everyone can keep that pace. Do you know how easy it is to run off of a pacer? But when you by yourself, every thought of life comes into your mind, both positive and negative. And what's in your mind is not going to be in the next person's mind. No, let me. So, in my marathon, my most recent one, I was running with music. I had my music in my headphones, and I'm like praising the Most High. Yeah, I'm singing the Most High music. I'm like getting it. I'm like, come on, come on. I understood that this is a marathon. This is a race, and I knew it wasn't going to be easy. No marathons are easy. Okay, not one. And there was a man who came up and bumped me and said, "Oh, we're almost there." And I'm like, "You got to be Satan because we at 9 miles. I think we were at 9 miles or 10 miles." And I'm like, "Almost there. I'm nowhere close. 9 miles. What are you talking about? 10 miles. What are you talking? I got the whole shebang bang. I got all 26.2, 3, whatever miles to go." This man taps me, and my headphones break instantly. And I knew it was Satan because I was grooving and moving, let me tell you. I was like, yeah, Most High, I got my good pace, I got my cadence, legs in stride, I'm feeling good. This man come and pat me on the back. I knew immediately it was Satan. And from that point, I was like, man, Most High, man. I knew it. I could have been mad at the Most High because, a marathon, a race is not going to give you everything you want. Satan is not going to let you run a race just because you want to run it. There's going to be curveballs. There's going to be slip ups and different things that you did not expect. Okay. And so this man, he comes out of nowhere. So, yeah, we keep going, keep going. We halfway through. I'm like, okay, don't need to touch me though, but we could have just said that from a distance. You didn't have to come up and touch me, pat me on the back. I didn't ask for that. Headphones went out immediately. I'm like, okay. The minute I the minute I realized that and they started going out, I'm like, all right, just shove the headphones right in my pocket. I'm like, Most High, it's me and you. I mean, it's always been me and you. I said this, but it's me and you now. It's me, you, and my thoughts. Let me tell you. I'm like, okay, Most High, we've done this before. Trained in Oman and Eden. I've trained all kinds of places. Most High, let's just go. You gave me this knowledge. I'm in it to win it for the Most High. Not the number one prize, but for the Most High. I start thinking about my life. I start thinking about what I could have did better in my last trials and tribulations. I start thinking better what I could do with my family, the ministry. I start thinking about what the Most High wants for the ministry and from me in the future, and my family and people I know. Like, oh my, it seems like time just freezes and it's you, your legs, the Most High, and your mind. And of course, Satan is there to watch every step of the way. Whether he whispered negative thoughts in your mind, or whether he put cracks in the road, or whether you step differently. You see, that's a part of training that I believe a lot of people don't realize. And praise the Most High, you know. Also, I'm a certified kinesiologist, so understanding the spiritual aspect even better with, like alternative medicines and stuff like that. Like understanding with the Bible the things that they refuse to teach people. And I'm like, man, Most High, like, we really got this. Like, with all this knowledge, I'm able to keep pushing. And I realized in the run, that marathon, I realized it's actually when you're going to run these races, knowledge and understanding is a big fundamental part of how you prepare. Ooh, wee, major part. And that's what a lot of these influencers, and that's what a lot of these new time aesthetic runners are failing to realize. That's why they're getting injured. That's why they quit. And that's why they don't make it. Because we're called to do this for a particular reason, not for the world, not for the world, but for the one who's called us to do this, the Most High, the one who's called us to shine bright, the Most High. Psalms. Let's go. And this one may surprise y'all. We're going to the book of Psalms 19, brothers and sisters. I'm going to read it on the right. It reads, Psalms 19, 1 through 5 reads, the heavens declare the glory of God. The vault of heaven proclaims his handiwork. Day discourses of its day. Night to night's hands on the knowledge, no utterance at all, no speech, no sound that anyone can hear, yet their voice goes out through all the earth, and their message to the ends of the world. High above, he pitched a tent for the sun, who comes out of his pavilion like a bridegroom, exulting like a hero to run his race. Now look at the translation of this. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. Day unto day uttereth speech, night unto night showeth knowledge. There is no speech nor language where their voice is not heard. Their line is gone out through all the earth, and their words to the end of the world. In them hath he set a tabernacle for the sun, which is a bridegroom coming out of his chamber, and rejoiceth as a strong man to run a race. Now, if you didn't understand, I want you to recognize the most two important parts here. When the bridegroom comes out of his chamber, the strong people who ran the race will rejoice to the end of the world. And there's this song that my children love. They say, my God is so great, so strong and so mighty. There's nothing my God cannot do. The mountains are his, the rivers are his, the stars are his handiwork too. My God is so great, so strong and so mighty. There is nothing that my God cannot do. And the heavens declare the glory of God. By the way, that's where that song came from, this chapter, by the way. But understanding that this race you're running is supposed to be, the result is you're running to see the bridegroom come out of his chamber. And that's not going to be a pretty sight, as you and I understand. There's going to be two types of people in that time. There's going to be confused and scared people, and there's going to be people who are exhausted from running that race. Now, in this sense, I would rather be exhausted from running a race than the one scared and confused. Because Christ come back and see that you exhausted yourself, you trained yourself for that moment, you better believe you're going to shine. You better believe you're going to shine, brothers and sisters. You're going to shine like you've never experienced before. Now, I'm going to stop it here. And I know you're probably like, no. I mean, I am really excited about this because we have got more. We've got a lot more. This was part one. Mindset of a champion, a warrior, a soldier. Mindset of a champion. Now, part two, we're going to go into some hidden knowledge. I have an additional gospel that you have never seen or heard of. And this text is going to blow your mind. I promise you. I promise you. But I will share this. Before I share this in the second lesson, if you have not read all the scriptures, you should. And if you have not read the Gospel of the Nazarenes, all of it, you should. Because this goes right in connection with the Gospel of the Nazarenes, and I'm just going to let you know, it's going to blow your mind. Okay. Last thing to share. I put here, running is a gift. Okay. I chose this because I want you to think of it as that. Okay. Now, what is a gift? And we're not talking about the natural talent, right? But we're talking about the inspiration aspect, the power miraculously bestowed. I want you to think about that, right? Power miraculously bestowed. Some of you thought that you couldn't do it. Some of you were like, who am I? I'm too old. And my bones are aching. I don't think I could do that. Mind you, this first portion is called the mindset of a champion or mindset of champions. So we're teaching you here how to change your mindset so that you'll go out and run your race properly. Power miraculously bestowed. And you see, Satan doesn't want you to look at running as a gift. To think about it. There's paraplegics who just wish they could walk. Diabetics whose legs have been amputated. Some people's legs just amputated for sicknesses or even an accident. It's people's legs who have been broken or withered away by blood clots or diseases, sicknesses, who wish they could just run and walk again. You may not think of it now as a gift, but surely if bombs were dropping over you, running would certainly be the gift. And life would certainly be opportunity. Think about it. Think about it. Someone out there can't run, but you are choosing and saying to yourself that you won't run. You are making every excuse not to run, not to train. This is the mindset of a champion, brothers and sisters. And it's time to change how we think about the marathon in the physical, and the marathon in the spiritual. He is calling us all to run this race. Just be sure not to complain. Look at running as a gift, and remember to run with purpose and reason for the kingdom. So